So let's talk Lando Norris. Let's talk McLaren. Can they compete for the 2024 championship? Are they going to have made the changes necessary to be in with a chance of fighting Red Bull and Max Verstappen? Obviously, they seem to think so. We only have to take a look at their trailer for the upcoming season to see that they think they can do whatever it takes to win. That has been their slogan on Twitter. They dropped little Easter eggs of it towards the back end of last season, and they've made it a staple for their trailer for this upcoming year. They've picked up a range of newspaper articles from last season where people were talking down on McLaren during their bad performances, and they're going to use that as motivation heading into the 2024 season. Zak Brown has often been quite vocal about his driver pairing. He's also offered quite a lot of praise for the likes of Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. He's also recently voiced his displeasure for AlphaTauri and Red Bull being owned by the same ownership group. But shall we talk more about McLaren and their driver lineup heading into 2024? Obviously, they have Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. Very impressive lineup, but there's a lot more to come from both drivers. Neither driver has an actual race win yet, although Oscar Piastri does have a sprint win. Lando Norris is heading into his 5th or 6th season in Formula 1 now and has had the opportunities to win. The big problem that I personally see with Lando Norris and the potential for him to be in a championship battle is he likes to move aside too easily for competition. You only have to look back towards last season and how he treated Max Verstappen versus how he treated other drivers on the grid. Big example of this was Austin. Lando Norris, I believe, was leading the race at this point in time, and he's going down the back straight and he takes a completely different line to what he'd normally take. It's not a defensive line, and it just opens the door for Max Verstappen. Now, Lando likes to talk about this being tactical and strategic and knowing who your battles are with. But for me, if you're winning a race, if you're in the lead of a race, you can't just let your competitor go past. Doesn't matter whether they're in a rocket ship or a Fiat Panda, you can't let them go past. I do think that Lando Norris has the ability and capabilities to win a championship. I do think he has the ability to win races. But I just have this sneaky feeling that he's going to end up being one of those drivers that never hits the heights of his career because he doesn't seem to have that killer instinct. We've seen many times with Lando Norris that he has the capabilities to put a car that isn't a race winning or pole position winning car in good positions, but then he makes mistakes. We saw it in Abu Dhabi, we saw it in Qatar, we've seen it so many times where he makes these what you'd consider rookie errors on a qualifying lap or on in race pace, and it's like he's got all the ability in the world and he just doesn't know how to use it properly. I've got big hopes for Lando Norris next season. With the way McLaren turned their car around last year, I think everyone has to have big hopes for McLaren. Going into the season, they're obviously going to be looked at for me as the second favourite team. Because for me, if they continue the run they were on towards the back end of last season, and they can keep up the pace and keep the upgrade path that they had, there's no reason why they can't be the second best team. But the only problem with that is Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. Lando Norris being unable to show that killer instinct means that even if they have a quicker car on a weekend, is he going to think, well, we're not going to be able to beat the Red Bulls in pure pace, so I might as well just let Max Verstappen past? And I don't really have a problem with Oscar Piastri. I think he's going to be an excellent racer. I think he's going to be an excellent Formula 1 driver. I think he's already shown that he has the capabilities to do that. But the one thing that we haven't yet seen from Oscar Piastri is consistency. He had good spells last season, and obviously he won that race in Qatar, the sprint race, where he fought off Max Verstappen to take that victory. But what we need to see from him now is consistently good qualifying performances, consistently good race pace. He needs to add that to his repertoire. Otherwise, he may have a few issues in the upcoming seasons. But can we now just talk about the pressure from Zak Brown? He likes to talk about having the best driver lineup on the grid. He likes to talk about all those sorts of things, and for me it's unnecessary, it's unneeded pressure. Obviously, behind closed doors, say what you want to your drivers, to your staff. If you think you have the best team, make sure they know that that's what you think. But when you start talking in the public eye and you start saying, we've got the best driver lineup on the grid, you then put in we're putting a second year driver in Oscar Piastri and a 5th year no-win Lando Norris in the same category as someone like George Russell and Lewis Hamilton, a Carlos Sainz and a Charles Leclerc. I'm not going to put no Red Bull pairing in this because unless they get rid of Sergio Perez, I don't even think they're in the argument for best driver lineup. Are they the best driver lineup? Do you think that Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, given equal machinery, would win the races? Because for me, I don't. I think if everyone had equal machines, I think the front three is obvious. How they finish is the question. It's obviously Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen and Fernando Alonso. And I don't think Lando fits in that category anywhere near yet. And obviously Oscar doesn't. Oscar's got a really long way to go. So for me, Zak Brown and this unnecessary pressure on his drivers is something that I think needs to be scaled back. I love Zak Brown. I appreciate what he's done for McLaren. They've gone from bang average, potential back marker to pretty much the front end of the grid last season. But are they going to be able to keep that trajectory? Are they going to be able to win a few proper races this year? Because that's the important thing. That's what you need to win titles. So we've heard my thoughts on McLaren. Yesterday was all about Mercedes. Check out the video linked in the corner right now if you want to see what I think about Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes potentially challenging in 2024. We've obviously just heard I don't quite think McLaren are going to be there yet. I don't quite think they have the drivers for it. And obviously, no one knows about the car yet. But we'll find out soon. Keep your eyes peeled for any future content from me. I've got a prediction video coming out way before car launches and before testing, just so you lot can get a feel for the 2024 season and how I view it from what I've seen through the media so far. So if you want to see that, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, and I'll catch you in my next video.